Hi everyone! So I was going to film a Friday Reads video on Friday, but then I decided I was just going to bring the camera home and film a wrap-up video for March. Leo is mauling Lisa behind the camera. This is the first time Lisa and I have filmed anything since, I think, October, at least. So it's good to have her back. And we're in my new place, like I said last time. So quick March wrap up. This year in general, 2017 so far has not been a heavy reading year for me. And I anticipated that at the beginning because last year I read, I think the final number was 201 books. It might have been 210. The numbers 2, 1, and 0 were all in there. And I knew that I was going to want to take it a little easy this year. So at the beginning of March, I was out of the country. I was in England. And I kept getting shamed by my friend Katie, who I was traveling with, because at the end of the day, I'd be so tired that I wasn't reading anything. And she just assumes that I read all the time, which I do. So when I wasn't reading my book at night, she was like, "Why aren't you reading?" Like, because I need to sleep, because we took 20,000 steps today. But the book that I read while I was there was I finally finished A Perilous Undertaking, the second book in the Veronica Speedwell mysteries by Deanna Raybourn. And I really wanted to, I started it and then I saved it to take on my trip, even though it was a hardback book and it took up a bit of space on my luggage. But we were going to the Leighton House Museum, and Deanna mentioned that it inspired some scenes in the book. So I wanted that because it just felt topical. And it was wonderful. I really liked the mystery, and the friendship and the partnership and the tension between Veronica and Stoker just gets better every time. Katie had already read it and she was complaining that they did not get it on. She's like, they just need to do it. And I love that romantic tension where will they, won't they? And I'm happy to wait until book 7 if Deanna needs to wait until book 7 for them to do anything. I love that they are friends and they see each other on an equal footing, and they are both very attracted to each other, but they aren't willing to ruin their friendship or kind of their partnership by doing anything about it just yet. Another book I read was the third book in the Saints of Denver series by Jay Crownover. It's called Riveted. The Saints of Denver is a spin-off series to The Marked Men, which are contemporary romances set in Denver, in Colorado. And the first group are a bunch of guys who work in a tattoo parlor, and they're friends, and the women that they fall in love with. And they're really good. All of the characters are really three-dimensional, and they're all really flawed, and they have to deal with a lot of issues and grow as people so that they're ready to be together in the end of the books. And she just does a really, really good job of doing that. And nobody fixes somebody else because of who they are. So the heroine is not the savior of the hero, but they're both working through their junk on their own and together, and they help. It's just all very good. They're also a little sexy, so if you're not into sexy, steer clear. On the other end of the spectrum, but also really, really good, I read The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, which I made an entire video about, and Lisa will put it here if you want to click on it, and I'll put a link below. It's perfect. Shannon, Hale, and Dean Hale wrote a full-length YA novel based on the Squirrel Girl character from the Marvel Comics, and it's the origin story of Doreen Green at 14. She's the queen of my spleen. I don't know, Doreen is the best. And there are scenes where, and I mentioned this in the other video, where she's texting the Avengers because her squirrel friend, Tippy Toe, has gone to New York City, broken into the Avengers Tower, and gotten their phone numbers off somebody's phone. And so she's texting Black Widow, and Black Widow thinks that it's a prank from Tony. And then she's texting Tony, and she's texting the Winter Soldier, and she doesn't believe that Tony is actually an Avenger. So she's like, no, I need to talk to a real hero. And she wants to talk to She-Hulk. Oh gosh. And then the Winter Soldier is just telling her, just burn everything, change your name, move to Poughkeepsie. And she's like, that seems extreme. No. It's just so good. It's so good. Just listening to it, because I listened to the audiobook, I just was driving around like just grinning like an idiot. It was wonderful. I also read The Muse by Jessie Burton, and I started The Muse back in January, I think. I didn't get to finish it because it was due back before I was able to listen to it in its entirety, and I really liked it. It's a dual story, which sometimes I like and sometimes I don't. So one of the storylines is a young woman from the West Indies, I can't remember what island, who is living in London in the 60s, the early 60s, and she wants to be a writer, and she has a job working as a typist for an art gallery. And the parallel story, like the kind of flashback one, takes place just before World War II in Spain, and just before all of the troubles in Spain, the Civil War and stuff. And it has to do with art and not mistaken identities, but subterfuge and people pretending to be who they are, and yeah, actually mistaken identities, and in a painting, and love, and friendship, and family drama, and it's really good. So The Muse, and the cover of The Muse is beautiful, as you can see. Lisa's putting it here. You know, sometimes when you just see a book and you're like, well, that's a book I need because of the cover. And sometimes it doesn't pan out. Sometimes you start it, you're like, But this one is really beautiful. So I also finished The Underground Airlines by Ben H. Winters, and it was rough. It was really good, but it was really sad. And I mentioned it in my Friday reads, but it's about kind of an alternate American timeline where the Civil War didn't happen and several states still have slavery. And what I thought was really interesting was the kind of the ramifications of what would have happened to the United States and its relation to the rest of the world if they continued to have slavery, and its relation to itself as well, like just the states against each other. And honestly, the behavior of some people is very similar to behavior that you see today when we don't have slaves in the United States. But it was fascinating because the main character is a former slave, a runaway slave who is basically being coerced by the U.S. Marshals to be a slave catcher. So he kind of goes undercover whenever they have an escaped slave, and he infiltrates where they are, and he turns them over to the U.S. Marshals to be sent back to their owners. And he is pretty good at keeping things, like all of his emotions about stuff, under wraps until the current case that you meet him on, and stuff goes down. It was hard, but it was really good, and I think it's a really important read. That was my wrap up for March. Like I said, I didn't get a lot read. I have a whole bag of books, and I bought a book yesterday, and I'm always bringing books home, you know that. And I've got all these books behind me, some of which I haven't read. And I'm starting a new book club at the library. We're starting a Sherlock Holmes book club. Oh, another thing in March, I survived the Sherlock-in. I stayed awake the whole night. Lisa stayed awake the whole night. And it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, especially considering that I only had a 15-minute nap beforehand. I was very tired afterward. Very tired. Like, the slightest thing makes you want to cry tired. Make sure you do all those nice things you can do on YouTube. Like this video, comment below, and share, subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't, and this is your first video you're watching, thank you.